America is a land of history, but some stories refuse to stay in the past. From grand mansions to forgotten prisons, there are places where the walls whisper, where shadows move on their own, and where spirits never truly rest. In this video, we're taking you inside the 15 most haunted houses in America, places where fear lingers, and the paranormal is all too real. Enter if you dare, but remember, not every visitor makes it out unscathed. 1. The Winchester Mystery House, California. A mansion built not by design but by fear. Imagine, if you will, endless hallways, staircases leading to the ceiling, doors opening to sheer drops, an architectural enigma. This is the Winchester Mystery House, a labyrinth of over 160 rooms designed by Sarah Winchester, widow of the famous gun magnate. Following the deaths of her husband and infant daughter, Sarah was consumed with guilt, convinced the restless spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles were seeking revenge. A psychic told her that to escape their wrath, she must build, continuously. And build she did, for 38 years, day and night. Rooms were constructed only to be torn down, with no master plan but to confuse the spirits haunting her. Today, visitors still hear strange noises echoing through the halls. Some swear they've seen ghostly figures drifting in the mirrors. Do you believe the dead can be trapped by walls, or perhaps still roaming free in search of justice? 2. The Amityville House, New York. A quiet suburban neighborhood with a house hiding a dark secret. In 1974, this idyllic home became the site of unimaginable horror when Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family in their sleep. 6 bodies were found, shot in their beds, but all under circumstances so eerie, even seasoned detectives were left unsettled. A year later, the Lutz family moved in, unaware of the violent history. They lasted only 28 days before fleeing in terror, claiming they experienced everything from ghostly apparitions to the walls bleeding with unseen forces. The house has changed hands many times since, but the legend persists. Could the spirits of the DeFeo family still walk the halls? Or does something more sinister linger within the walls of Amityville? 3. The Whaley House, California. San Diego's Whaley House stands as one of the most haunted places in America. Built on the grounds of the city's first public execution, it is said that the spirit of Yankee Jim Robinson, hanged on the very site, haunts the building to this day. The Whaley family themselves experienced tragedy. Infant deaths, suicides, and untimely demise all occurred within these walls. Visitors often report hearing heavy footsteps and the chilling laughter of a child in rooms long abandoned. Thomas Whaley, the original owner, is said to appear to those who walk in his parlor, dressed in his 19th century attire. Could the echoes of San Diego's dark past still be alive here? 4. Lizzy Borden House, Massachusetts. A quiet town, a brutal double murder, and a mystery that has haunted America for over a century. In 1892, Lizzy Borden was accused of brutally hacking her father and stepmother to death with an axe. Though acquitted, she was never truly cleared in the public eye. The house where the murders took place has since been turned into a bed and breakfast, where guests report seeing the spectral figures of the victims and hearing the echoes of that fateful day. Footsteps creak in the hall, doors slam shut, and an unsettling presence lingers. Could it be the victims seeking justice? Or is it Lizzy herself, still guarding her dark secret? 5. The LMP Mansion, Missouri. Once a grand symbol of success, the LMP Mansion became a house of tragedy. The LMP family was one of the wealthiest in St. Louis, but by the early 20th century, their fortune had crumbled, leading to a string of suicides within the family home. 4 members of the LMP family died by their own hand inside these very walls. Today, the mansion operates as a restaurant and inn, but many guests report eerie encounters. A shadowy figure at the top of the stairs, the sound of a woman crying, and sudden cold spots in rooms where the family once lived. Could the spirits of the LMP family be doomed to remain in the house where their legacy turned to tragedy? 6. The Bell Witch Cave, Tennessee. In the early 1800s, the Bell family of Tennessee was tormented by an unseen force that would become known as the Bell Witch. The haunting began with strange noises, scratching, knocking, and soon escalated to physical attacks. The witch seemed to have a particular vendetta against John Bell, eventually leading to his mysterious death. Today, the Bell Witch Cave is considered one of the most haunted locations in America. Visitors report strange lights, disembodied voices, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched. Could the spirit that tormented the Bell family still reside in the cave, waiting for new victims to terrorize? 7. Villisa Axe Murder House, Iowa. In 1912, a gruesome murder shocked the small town of Villisa, Iowa. 8 people, including 6 children, were found brutally bludgeoned to death with an axe in their beds. The killer was never caught, and the house has since gained a reputation for being haunted by the spirits of the victims. Paranormal investigators have reported hearing children's laughter, the sound of footsteps, and even voices pleading for help. Is it the victims trapped in a never-ending loop, or something far more sinister that claimed their lives? Today, the Villisa Axe Murder House stands as a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. 8. The Myrtles Plantation, Louisiana. The Myrtles Plantation, often called one of the most haunted homes in America, has a chilling history that stretches back over 2 centuries. Built in 1796, the plantation was the site of numerous deaths and tragedies, including murders, outbreaks of illness, and rumors of slaves subjected to brutal treatment. However, one of the most infamous spirits tied to the Myrtles is Chloe, a former slave who is said to have poisoned the wife and children of the plantation owner. According to legend, Chloe was hanged by the other slaves in retribution and now haunts the grounds. Visitors frequently report seeing a woman in a green turban wandering the property. Some have captured her ghostly image in photographs. Alongside Chloe's spirit, other ghostly apparitions, children playing in empty rooms, chandeliers swaying on their own, and unexplained sounds of footsteps add to the eerie atmosphere. Could the spirits of the Myrtles Plantation still be seeking justice for the wrongs they endured? 9. The Driscoll Hotel, Texas. Austin's Driscoll Hotel may be known for its luxury and old-world charm, but lurking beneath the surface is a history steeped in tragedy and hauntings. The hotel was opened in 1886 by Colonel Jesse Driscoll, who lost his fortune shortly after and died penniless. His ghost is said to roam the hotel, with guests often feeling an icy presence in the lobby. One of the most well-known ghost stories tied to the Driscoll is the tale of a young girl who fell to her death while chasing a ball down the grand staircase. Guests claim they've seen her spirit playing in the hallways or heard the sound of a ball bouncing down the stairs. Other mysterious occurrences include lights flickering, objects moving on their own, and the sound of a woman's laughter in the middle of the night. Is it possible the Driscoll is home to more than just luxury accommodations, but also restless spirits unable to leave? The Sallie House, Kansas. The Sallie House in Atchison, Kansas is a modest, unassuming home from the outside, but inside it's a hotbed of paranormal activity. The house got its name from the ghost of a young girl, Sally, who is said to have died there during a botched surgery in the early 1900s. Since then, residents and visitors have reported disturbing events, objects flying across the room, unexplained fires, and violent attacks by unseen forces. Some visitors even claim to have been scratched, pushed, or bruised while inside the house. Paranormal investigators have documented unsettling phenomena, from cold spots to strange voices picked up on recording devices. What makes the Sallie House particularly terrifying is the aggressive nature of its hauntings. Unlike other ghost stories, where spirits are merely observed, those who enter Sally's domain often feel as though they are in physical danger. Is Sally a spirit seeking vengeance, or is something darker at play here? 11. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. Once one of the most feared prisons in America, Eastern State Penitentiary is now a crumbling relic of its dark past, with a reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the country. Opened in 1829, the prison was known for its harsh conditions and the use of solitary confinement, a practice believed to drive inmates to madness. Over the years, it housed some of America's most notorious criminals, including Al Capone. Many prisoners died within its walls, and their restless spirits are said to haunt the penitentiary today. Visitors and paranormal investigators frequently report disembodied whispers, shadowy figures darting down the long, narrow corridors, and eerie laughter echoing from the empty cells. In cell block 12, an apparition has been seen pacing back and forth, as though reliving its imprisonment. Could these be the souls of former inmates, unable to escape the torment they endured even in death? 12th, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky. Waverly Hills Sanatorium is a place where death and despair were once a daily occurrence. Built to house tuberculosis patients in the early 1900s, Waverly Hills became a last stop for thousands who succumbed to the disease. It's estimated that over 60,000 people died there, and the building is believed to be one of the most haunted places in America. One of the most infamous areas of the sanatorium is the body chute, a tunnel where the dead were discreetly removed to keep the morale of the patients high. Today, visitors to Waverly Hills report hearing the cries of long-dead patients echoing through the halls, shadow figures that seem to watch from darkened corners and unexplained cold spots. One of the most chilling stories is of a young boy known as Timmy, whose spirit has been seen playing with a ball in the hallways. Some even claim the ball moves on its own. Is Waverly Hills forever haunted by the souls of those who perished in its care? Or is there something even more sinister lurking within? 13. Bobby Mackeys Music World, Kentucky. On the surface, Bobby Mackeys Music World is a popular honky-tonk bar in Wilder, Kentucky, but beneath its lively atmosphere lies a dark history of violence, murder, and the paranormal. Built over the site of a former slaughterhouse, it is believed that satanic rituals were once performed on the property, and some claim there's a portal to hell within the building. The bar's owner, Bobby Mackey, remains skeptical of the hauntings, but employees and patrons have reported terrifying encounters, ghostly apparitions, physical attacks, and even possession. One of the most notorious spirits is that of a woman named Pearl Bryan, who was brutally murdered nearby in the 1890s. Her headless apparition is said to roam the bar, searching for her missing head. Other reports include poltergeist activity, such as glasses flying off shelves and the jukebox turning on by itself. Is it possible that Bobby Mackeys is a gateway to something far darker than anyone could imagine? 14. The Queen Mary, California. Once a grand ocean liner, the Queen Mary is now a floating hotel and museum permanently docked in Long Beach, California. But it's not just luxury that lingers on board. Many believe the ship is haunted by the spirits of those who died at sea. During its time as a passenger ship and troop carrier in World War II, dozens of people lost their lives aboard, from tragic accidents to untimely deaths. Guests and staff have reported a wide range of paranormal activity, including cold spots, shadowy figures, and even full-bodied apparitions. One of the most famous ghosts is that of a young girl seen playing near the pool, laughing and skipping as though unaware of her spectral form. Another frequently cited spirit is that of a sailor who died in the engine room during a freak accident. Could the souls of those who perished at sea still be sailing aboard the Queen Mary, forever adrift in a world between the living and the dead? 15. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel, perched high in the Rocky Mountains, has earned a reputation as one of America's most haunted places, and it's easy to see why. Best known as the inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining, the hotel has a long history of paranormal encounters. Guests often report hearing the sounds of children running and laughing down the hallways, but when they open their doors, no one is there. Other visitors have seen the ghostly figure of a woman in room 217, where a housekeeper was injured in an explosion many years ago. Some believe she continues to tend to the room, even in the afterlife. The hotel's ballroom is another hotspot for activity. Guests have heard piano music playing softly, but the piano remains untouched. Could the spirits of the Stanley be reliving their glory days, or is something much darker haunting the halls of this historic hotel?